I'm Sarah the Gardener, and something really exciting has happened in my garden. Thanks to the good people at Gardena, my garden now has irrigation all the way through it. It is so exciting. I think they took one look at the jerry-rig systems I've had in the past and thought, we really need to help this girl. And so it's so wonderful to be able to just turn on a tap and know that the garden gets what it needs, when it needs it, in terms of watering. It wasn't an overnight project because, well, let's face it, it's a pretty big garden. So let me run you through a few of the things that we did along the way to get the garden irrigated. It's been such an exciting time. Okay, so before we even started digging soil and playing with water, we needed a plan. So as you can see, my garden is rather large. But as you can see, this is where all the trenches run, down here, and this one goes along. These are the strawberries here. And so each hose goes into the bed, so you can see as it goes along the trench, the hose gets progressively longer. Each trench services 6 beds. The berries across the back are doubled up, so there's one, the 2 get served, 2 get served, 2 get served, and then the strawberries individually. It works out quite well having it that way, because what it means is in the period of a week, each bed will get watered. And the good thing with my soil is it holds water really well, so it only really needs watering once a week, even in a drought. So that's my plan. It's exciting. Once we had the plan laid out, we marked on the ground where we needed the hoses to go, and we started digging. Well, not me. Good old hubby the ungardener. He digs on demand.
Perfect.
Look at that. You'll get there in no time. Okay, so then the hoses were laid, the length of the garden. There are 6 hoses, and each of them represents 6 beds that they feed into. It was a lot of fun. Okay, we are super excited. The trenches have been dug, ready for the irrigation. What we need to do now is have the pipes laid. Twisting the pipes helps to uncoil it from its memory of being stored, and it lays it out nice and flat. So once all the hoses were laid in all of the trenches, and then we needed to connect them to all of the beds. So the end box is really cool because it sits flush in the ground, and you lift it up, and then all the ends of the hoses are here, ready to be connected to the water distributor when I need to water the beds. It's pretty cool. Now the corn are really, really thirsty plants. They like a good drink. And so what we've done in all of the beds is we've gone in under the raised bed bit with the post and come out the top. So there's a connector there that we can connect the bits and pieces to. And that comes out. It's got an L joint in the corner. I can show you one of those, an elbow. And then it comes down and it's staked into place, and then another L joint. And then it runs off to join the other pipes heading towards the box. Okay, so on the other side, inside the bed, the pipe that's come up is connected to a T-joint, and then it is laid all the way around. So this will be the base that the actual irrigation-y bit comes out. It's pretty exciting. Okay, so there's lots of different components being used in the irrigation system, and so I thought I'd just show you a few. So we have the elbow joint. Now he's been used in loads of different places to take the pipe up into the bed and then go around the corner of the inside of the bed to receive the water and then spread it. So he's quite a versatile little device. Then we have the T-joint. So he is a T. So he receives the water coming up from under the bed and then spreads it around the edge of the bed. So he's quite cool. And then of course there's the all important stopper. Now he stops the water flow out the end of your pipe because that's really important. And for the bits where you actually plug the hose into, it's the end cap. And it's really cool because it's got this, I don't know if you can see, that's the little bug on the end. Can you see? That, of course, is to stop the bugs entering your hose support into your hole when you're not using it. So when you want to use your hose, take the cap off. Very easy. Plug your hose in. When you finish, unplug your hose. Put the cap back on. And then you get no bugs and things in the line. Not only is that bad for bugs, but it's also bad for your irrigation system because it can block it. So yeah, they're really cool. And then we have the pipe running through it, which is 13mm pipe, so it's about that big. And it's pipe. It's held in place in the ground so that the coil that it has on it, because it's been stored in the coil, in the ground it's held in place with these cool little spikes. So they just sit on the end, you hammer it in so that the irrigation lies flat. To make sure it stays flat on the edge of the bed, a saddle clip. See? It's got a nail running through it, and so that just sits on the end of the pipe. So it just goes on. So it's quite a snug fit, and then the nail gets hammered in and it holds the pipe straight on the edge of the bed. So it's pretty cool. You don't really want to skimp on these things so that the pipe sits nicely. But the thing is, you'll notice that all of the pipes have on the end, they have like a flare. So that's almost like the barb of a hook. So once it's in the tube, there's a resistance for it to come back out. But getting them into the tube sometimes, especially if it's a cold day, you know, it's a tight fit, but it needs to be a tight fit. So the best way to get your pipe in without exerting too much pressure, because let's face it, you know, who wants to do anything that's difficult, is get yourself a cup, and fill it full of water, boiling water, straight from the jug, so it's really hot. And then you get the end of your pipe and you just put it in there. And so what happens is that will soften it up. So it doesn't take long actually. So that's nice and soft now. But before you want to put your connector in, what you want to do is put this ratchet clip. See, it's a funky little device. That helps to keep the connector safe in the hose, because if you've got really good pressure, what can happen is you can blow the end of your hose, and you don't really want to be doing that. So into the water, heat it up, put your ratchet clip on, and then gently, as easy as that, easy, see, easy, even I can do it, see, and your hose just slips in, If you're going to do a lot of them, you really appreciate the benefits of having the hot water. And then you'll notice there's an indentation where the barb is sitting. So you want to have your ratchet clip between the end of the hose and where the barb is sitting, and then squeeze it shut. So, but it's best to use pliers because you can go horribly wrong with this. If you squeezed it like this across the end of it, which seems like the logical thing to do, what can happen? You see that? It starts to twist and doesn't line up very well. So it's better to come on from above because it sits nicely. If it is out of alignment a little bit, see it's not twisted. See, it's not twisted, but it's not aligned properly. Then you just get your pliers, and you just give it a wee bit of a click, and then it is perfectly aligned nicely, and that is on there good and firm, and it's not going to blow, because sometimes in the past I didn't use these. I should have, and I used a cable tie, and you just can't get the same strength from the cable tie, and it would shoot the ends out all over the place, and you'd see if you didn't notice it happening, you'd find the end like on the other side of the garden, and then this big trench that had been pulled out by the pressure, dug into the ground by the pressure of the water coming out. So it's something you really want to get right, because you can kind of screw with your garden if you get it wrong. So it's really good to have this system set up properly, using the right tools for the right job in my garden. It's super exciting. Flushing out the hose before you put the bung on is very important when setting up the irrigation. And there you have it. There's nothing blocking this line. So now all the pipes seem to be connected well. We can close in the trench. Right, now we're getting on to the fun stuff. So we've got our tube with the end connected. This is just my demo piece. And to get to the serious end of the business, so all the tubes are all laid out, we need to actually put the irrigation bit in. And what you need is this handy dandy little tool. So it's got a pointy end here to put the hole in here, and then this great little tip here, because what we have to do is from here is get some of this. This is a 4mm tube. So that takes it off this line and takes the sprinkler into the garden. So we'll attach our sprinklers to that soon. But to get this onto this, what we need to do is make a hole. And it's actually really quite simple. You just take your thing, and it doesn't take much to get a hole. I didn't put much effort in there at all. And then you see that? A nice little hole. So then to connect this, we have our hole. So next you need one of these. Now this is a barbed joiner, and that end goes into the fat hose, and that end goes into the 4mm. So what you do is pop it in the hole. Takes a bit of effort because it needs to be tight, because you don't want water leaking out. Now I've got it in as far as the thread that's on there. Can you see that? There's a thread on there. So I've got that in as far as that, and it's just like so. But this is where this comes in. Now I didn't know this, and I've spent a lot of time going, oh. Yeah, you don't need to. They've thought of everything. So you put this bit, and you put it in, because you see the thing is it's got a hex shape on it. Hex shape, so you put this in here, and then you just wind it in. It's as simple as clockwork. So you wind it in. Easy, especially if the pipe is already in situ, you know, you've nailed it to the side of your bed and you're underneath trying to get it in. You don't want to be messing about, so just twisting it in, twist, look at that, no problems at all, it's in. So you get your 4mm and then you just push it on, easy as pie, and it's done. And it's nice and tight, it's not going anywhere. Piece of cake! This is like child's play. So there you go. This is handy. Don't lose it. It's probably why it's bright yellow. Okay, so before you even begin to decide what sprinklers and bits and bobs you need to put into your garden, first you need to do the bucket test. And this helps you to figure out what your flow rate is, because all of the sprinklers and things have they work best with specific flow rates. So once you know what your flow rate is, then you can choose the right number of sprinklers for your garden and the right sprinklers for the job. So let's do this. Let's do our bucket test. Right. Okay, start. And now I'm really wet, but we have our information. That took 19.58 seconds. That's my flow rate. Okay. And now we know from my bucket test that my flow rate is between 19 and 20 seconds to fill a 9 litre bucket. So my flow rate is between 24 and 26 litres a second, which will be helpful to work out how many drippers I can get away with in my garden, because you don't want to have too many for your water pressure and then find that it just dribbles out and inadequately sprays the garden. So the irrigation planner has all the different pop-ups and sprinklers and drippers and all the things you need, and it tells you how much of the flow rate is required for each one, but it also tells you how much coverage it does and what kind of spray coverage it gets. So the drippers that we're putting into our garden are more than adequate for my situation, and so my plan tells me that we can have 16 drippers that will give adequate coverage for my garden, but will also meet the requirements of my water flow. So now I have a plan, I can take it to the next step. So according to the plan, we need 4 rows of irrigation of the 13mm with 4 drippers in each row, and so we have, each row has 3 of these inline drippers and 1 end dripper. So, and they're stretched out with enough distance of this to get across the bed. So I'll show you how I do it. It's actually quite easy. Okay, now one is shorter than the others because it doesn't actually need to go all the way across the bed. You just need to stop at the last point. You'll see what I mean when I show you how it goes in. So start by putting the end dripper into one of the long ones. And it just pushes together quite easily. And then you get an inline dripper. Once again, let me show you how easy it just goes in. You can wind it on so that snug as a bug in a rug. And I'll keep going. There we go. And that is all we need. Now just get on with the other three. Okay. And that's it. Easy. Easy peasy. Right, now let's go and install these in the garden. What I need is my handy dandy hole punching connector, which is so handy. And these little connectors. They'll the link between this and the water. Right. To the garden. So in this bed, the water T-junction is in the middle over there, and so the pipes come all the way around in a U shape on both sides. And so what I've done is I've taken from the plan, and on my handy measurer stick, I've worked out where my connectors need to go. So let me show you just how I do this. Okay, so this is the spot where I need it on the right hand side of the garden. So I just take my widget and I just push it in until it clicks and it's made a hole. So I pull it out. Now I get my connector. This is the end here with the thread on it, is the one we want to get into the hose. So what we'll do is put the other end into the connector, line it up on the hole and push that in until it clicks. Saves your fingers. And then you just screw it into place. Ooh. It's important not to get dust in the holes because you don't want dust in your irrigation. Alright, it will block your nozzles. There we go, look at that. Nice and snug as a bug. So what we do is we take our hose and dripper system that we made earlier, and we just push it ever so easily onto the connector, and then we just stretch it out, putting it across the garden. Right, that's one down, 3 to go. And there you have it. It's all plugged in. Then we just go and turn on the tap. The drippers are completely adjustable, so you can make it bigger to cover a larger surface area, or you can bring it in tight to put it right where you need it, at the base of your plant, or even turn it right off. But yeah, so it's quite cool. This is the perfect dripper for my situation. Now the system that we've used is from the Neta range of products, which was actually made in Australia. But it's been UV stabilised, which is really important because underneath our hot sun, heck, those UV rays are really strong. And it's just perfect for DIY, people just put it together yourself. And it's good for kitchen gardens, normal gardens, and all that sort of thing. So it's just easy, and there's so many different connectors and bits and bobs. It's a bit like a Meccano set. It's really exciting. And I am excited to have my garden fully taken care of with a system as easy to use as this. Now you can find your irrigation planner guide and more information about the Neta range on the Neta website, www.neta.co.nz, and you can just get lost in there. There's so many things you can see and do. And so that's my system. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. Come again soon, because, well, it really isn't summer anymore, and I need to start clearing beds and sowing cover crops and cool season crops and look to a not so fair season. Take care, bye bye.